Hey, friend, welcome back to the channel. So nice to see you at Faithfully Connected Counseling and Coaching. Today, I wanted to have a real conversation about stress, anxiety, depression, and how temperament impacts the way we respond emotionally, relationally, and spiritually. One of the things I've learned through temperament counseling is this: when we have unmet needs in the areas of inclusion, control, or affection, will experience at times some form of stress. That stress will come emotionally, mentally, relationally, or even physically. If those unmet needs continue long enough without understanding, communication, or healing, stress will eventually begin affecting the way we think, feel, respond, and make decisions. When people become anxious, emotionally overwhelmed, or stressed, we often begin thinking through the lens of our emotions instead of wisdom. We start reacting from the pain instead of understanding. And one question I've always asked myself is this: if I knew the outcome of the decision beforehand, would I still make the same choice? Sometimes we have to stop long enough to think about where our emotions are leading us before we allow them to dictate our decisions. That's not easy to do, friend. This is where our temperament becomes the most important to us. Because through temperament counseling is different because it doesn't only focus on the outward behavior or of environmental circumstances. It looks deeper into the inner man, the emotional wiring, the unmet need, the pattern, and the areas where stress is affecting the heart. For example, let's talk about a melancholy in the affection area. Melancholies often deeply desire affection, emotional closeness, reassurance, connection, but at the same time, they may also carry a fear of rejection. Now, imagine a melancholy in a relationship where affection, especially physical affection or intimacy, is not being expressed the way emotionally they need it. That melancholy may begin interpreting the situation through the lens of rejection. Maybe I'm not wanted. Maybe I don't, maybe they don't love me. Maybe I'm not attractive enough. Maybe something's wrong with me. Now stress enters the relationship emotionally. But what if the issue isn't really rejection at all? What if the partner simply has a completely different temperament and emotional wiring? For example, if their partner is more pragmatic, they may not naturally initiate affection frequently because they have low energy. And it's not that they don't care or don't love deeply, but pragmatics often operate with low emotional, physical energy levels. So now we have two people, one interpreting lack of initiation as rejection, and then the other functioning from a different emotional design. This is where understanding changes everything. Instead of pointing fingers and saying, you don't care, you're lazy, you don't understand me, you never initiate, you don't love me, temperament counseling teaches you to pause. Ask the question, why is this affecting me the way that it is? That question can change everything in the moment because now we move from accusation to understanding. Now we begin looking at our temperament, our emotional needs, our fears, our love language, our triggers, our perceptions, and even our responses. Maybe physical touch and quality time are your primary love languages. So affection becomes deeply tied to that emotional safety for you. That doesn't make you wrong, but it also does not automatically make your partner wrong either. Having an understanding of your temperament helps you realize that not everyone expresses love, connection, or emotional needs in the same way. And this is where the word of God becomes so important. Because temperament counseling is not about blaming people or excusing unhealthy behavior. It's about bringing an understanding, communication, wisdom, accountability, and unity into the relationship. The goal is not you need to become more like me. The goal becomes how do we understand each other well enough to walk together in love, how in wisdom in communication through grace and unity. That can change a marriage. That can change the way you parent. That can change personal friendships. It could change your church relationships. It can even change your work relationships. Even our relationship with God can be affected by our temperament. Have you ever seen, like, why am I not submitting to the will of God? I love Him. But your temperament can influence how you handle correction, how you process fear, how you respond to authority, how you trust, how you surrender, and how you even submit to the will of God. This is why understanding your temperament matters so deeply. Because when unmet needs go, and we all have unmet needs, unspoken, misunderstandings, and stress begins growing silently under those relationships. And eventually, what's going to happen is our communication is going to break down. Resentment is starting to build emotionally. Distance grows, anxiety increases, and relationships begin to fall apart. Understanding creates compassion, and compassion creates room for healing. This is why I believe temperament counseling is so powerful. Not because it labels people, but because it helps people finally understand themselves and each other with wisdom instead of shame. If this video has resonated with you, I have created a booklet called Stress and the Temperaments: Understanding Stress Through Inclusion, Control, and Affection. Inside this booklet, I'm going to walk you through all 5 of the temperaments. I'm going to walk you through all the stress patterns, emotional triggers, reflection questions, and coping strategies, and some prayers for healing and emotional growth. The link is below if you'd like to download it. And as always, my prayer is that through understanding, God brings healing, clarity, wisdom, and peace into your relationship and into your life. Until next time, friends, thanks for joining us.